Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all the lovely people who stayed tuned to watch World this morning here on Pakistan TV. Welcome to all the people watching who have just joined in to watch World this morning on Pakistan TV. I happen to be Isha Rehan, your host for today here on this bright, sunny, beautiful Friday morning, and a very wonderful Jummah Mubarak to all the people watching. We do hope that you get ready for your Friday prayers on time. Make sure to bond as the Muslim Ummah does, and make sure to celebrate and rejoice as summers are coming. Make sure to plan your weekend accordingly. Make sure not to go to areas that are too warm. Go towards the mountainous sides, go towards the sea, and make sure to pack a lot of sunscreen because the UV rays are going to be exceptionally high across the summer. But from here on, I'm going to take you on to what other things are on a rise, and those are escalations and tensions all across the globe, especially in regards to the Strait of Hormuz. So we're going to get straight into the first news that we have for you, and that is how the United States and Iran have actually traded fire and accusations during a fragile truce, as Tehran accuses Washington of violating the ceasefire with attacks on ships and civilian areas near the Strait of Hormuz, while the United States says it targets Iranian military sites after American warships come under attack on the strategic waterway. The violence threatens to unveil a fragile truce that has been in effect since April 8th, ending weeks of the US-Israeli attacks on Iran and the retaliatory strikes by Tehran across the Middle East, including disruptions to shipping throughout the Strait of Hormuz, a virtual route for global oil and gas supplies. And from here on, in regards to this developing situation where tensions have yet again escalated between these two nations, I'm going to share a statement by US President Donald Trump for all of you to get a deeper insight. US President Donald Trump has said the US forces dealt great damage to Iranian targets after 3 American naval destroyers came under fire in the Strait of Hormuz. He said on his Truth Social platform that no damage had been done to 3 destroyers, but significant damage had been inflicted on the Iranian attackers, adding that the drones had fallen like a butterfly dropping to its grave. He added that they would be knocked out much harder and more violently in the future if they did not get their deal signed quickly. And this is how US President Donald Trump is showing his military might and strength, and in regards to wanting Iran to come under pressure to sign this deal. And from here on, we do have developments from the Iranian side and what they're doing. Let me share that with you. And that is how the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has met with Mujtaba Khamenei, the Iran's supreme leader, in a rare 2.5 meeting face-to-face discussion. According to CNN, this is the first reported in-person meeting between a top Iranian official and Khamenei since the inauguration in March. Until now, the supreme leader has remained out of public view, with all statements read out loud on state television, fueling speculation about his health and whereabouts. During the meeting, President Pezeshkian urged the importance of strengthening unity, trust, solidarity within the Iranian leadership. He described Khamenei's demeanor as one of simplicity, humility, and mutual respect. Creating the atmosphere was open, direct, and filled with trust between the two leaders of the country, where they did want to make sure that Iran makes its move strategically, peacefully, and in line with the region's stance. But from here on, while the world is in a lot of turmoil, a lot of aggression and violence being faced, it was Pakistan who made sure to set out the right foot and stop aggression from being bombarded within Pakistan. So DGISPR Lieutenant General Ahmed Sharif Chaudhry said Pakistan emerged as a net stabilizer in the region in wake of Marka-e-Haq by influencing a crushing defeat on an aggressor and enemy 5 times bigger. Addressing a press conference along with senior officials of Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Navy, DGISPR stated India attacked Pakistan on the pretext of false operation, but the armed forces of Pakistan gave a befitting response to Indian aggression, and that was rightfully done. As Pakistan stood united, Pakistan stood firm in the face of the unprovoked aggression and the false accusations placed by India upon Pakistan. And this is how we as Pakistani nation stand tall and united. And from here on, I'm going to take you on to how Marka-e-Haq is being recognized and celebrated in different platforms across Pakistan. So it was the Federal Minister Information of Broadcasting, Ataullah Tarar, who said Pakistan has emerged as a serious and formidable power on the world stage following its victory in Marka-e-Haq operation, the marking of the first anniversary at the seminar. The minister described the victory as a reflection of Pakistan's resolve, strategic clarity and ability to dominate the global narrative. He criticized India for allegedly attempting to suppress the truth by banning Pakistani YouTube channels, asserting that Pakistan insisted on responding with a digital innovation. He accused India of conducting false flag operations and promoting terrorism abroad, citing transactional assassinations within the US, Canada and the UK. And this is how Pakistan and the world is recognizing how the world is making sure that India is exposed for all its false narratives, for all its terrorism being sponsored in different states, and how Pakistan will always stand firm and tall in the face of aggression. But from here on, speaking about aggression and zeal and zest, we are going to be speaking about the matches in the field, especially in Dhaka, where different matches are taking place, especially in regards to how the Pakistani team is in Dhaka right now, practicing for different playoffs, and we do have an insight regarding that. And it's great to see how the Pakistani team is in Dhaka right now, making sure to practice the test match. The two-match test series between Pakistan and Bangladesh begins today in Dhaka as part of the ICC World Test Championship. And it is going on right now, and the series trophy was unveiled as the Sher-e-Bangla National Cricket Stadium by Pakistan's captain Shan Masood and Bangladesh captain as well. And this is how the teams are kicking off after PSL and making sure to play internationally. But right now, what we're going to be discussing is that how the world is observing World Thalassemia Day on this day, which is May 8th, a global recognition and awareness about thalassemia, which is a genetic blood disorder that affects the body's ability to produce healthy hemoglobin and red blood cells. The day also honors patients, families, and doctors, as well as caregivers working to fight the disease. What exactly is thalassemia? How is it integrated within our blood, and how can it be combated? Well, to find out all these details, make sure to stay tuned for our last segment, where we will be having a medical expert who will be guiding us about what thalassemia is, how to spot it, and how to prevent it. To make sure so you get enlightened, make sure to stay tuned and watch till the last episode. We will be right back here on World This Morning after a very, very short break. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we as Pakistanis are observing the anniversary of Marka-e-Haq, a history written in Pakistan's chapter that is awakening the spirit of unity, pride, patriotism, and a full display of diplomacy as well. The Pakistani nation is remembering Marka-e-Haq as a message that is being echoed across classrooms, cricket grounds, as well as the borders of Pakistan, about how the brave Pakistani military soldiers made sure to stand firm and tall in the face of unprovoked Indian aggression, and to make sure that you get a deep insight into the matters, get to know the history about it, and get to know the main crux and the aftermath of Marka-e-Haq. We are going to be having some guests to discuss this. First things first, let me introduce you to Mr. GHULAM RASOOL BALUCH, former ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Baluch.
Thank you, EESHA. Thank you so much.
Good morning to you. And from here on, I'm going to introduce our second guest, who happens to be Dr. Maria SULTAN, security analyst. Good morning, Dr. Maria.
Very good morning.
It's great to have you both here on World This Morning. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little brief recap of what actually happened in Marka-e-Haq. It was that Pakistan responded right within 72 hours of unprovoked Indian aggression. It made sure to give a befitting response to India, and made sure to give a calculated, decisive, and a very strategic response that the world is recognizing to this day after a year. Given the Pakistani restraint combined with this strategy, what does Marka-e-Haq mean to you personally, Mr. Baluch?
Thank you. Well, this is a question that was asked to me at the time when we were having this. I said, my reaction is informed by four feelings. Number one is the challenge. We were challenged as a nation, and it was so good to see. It was so encouraging to see that we gave the enemy a befitting response, number one. Number two, of gratitude to the God Almighty that we reacted in time and exactly what the enemy wanted from us. And but still, despite all that provocation, if you look at our response, it was a restrained response, a balanced response, a proportionate response. We had we wanted, as was described by our Air Force leaders later, we could have had more actually airplanes down shot, but we still kept a restraint. So, and also the feeling of responsibility again, because we had set a benchmark of a military operation against an enemy which is 4 or 5 times bigger than us, but we were able to establish a not only we already have a nuclear deterrence, but we were able to establish the deterrence in the conventional sphere as well. So I think it showed also the kind of the unity that was shown between the political leadership, the military leadership, and the people, the media. All the actually components of our nation were on one page, and it was this unity of thought and action which really resulted in this wonderful victory against this vicious enemy, unfortunately, which should not be the case, that a neighbor has to be better neighbor, but we are so unlucky to have this neighbor who is aggressive. But the befitting response has been given to that enemy. We have shown to the world that Pakistan is a country which can defend its sovereignty. And actually, if we look at our present diplomatic even status in the world, was in a way as a consequence of what we were able to achieve at the battlefront. And Pakistan has been now recognized as a middle power in the world, and which has all these components, that diplomatic skills, institutional strength, and of course the military potential, and of course the geography. So I think Pakistan, uh, of course, we never wanted a confrontation with any other country, but once we are attacked, I think our brave Air Force, military, and all the components of the Navy, all of them, they were on the one page. And most of all was the strategic vision and strategic planning by our military leaders. That was
It
an
was, I think, Mr.
amazing.
Baloch, you've highlighted the crux of what actually happened. It was the civil leadership and the military leadership coming in unison to face this adversary and making sure to give India a befitting response. And from here on, I'm going to rope in Dr. Maria. As a strategic analyst, Dr. Maria, I want to ask you, in regards of DG ISPR's statement about how India is a nation 5 times bigger than us, Pakistan was able to defeat it in all domains, I might add. So that includes land, air, sea, and also cyber domains, as well as missile capabilities as well. How is this a reality check for India as well as the rest of the globe in regards to Pakistan's sovereignty, number one, and number two, about the pertinent installation of technology within modern warfare at this time?
Well, thanks so much, first of all. I think before I start in terms of, giving some kind of answer to what you've asked, I think I would just like on taking advantage of your program, uh, you know, congratulate the nation for a tremendous victory against an adversary which had made life miserable for the people of Pakistan since our inception. This has been a victory which has been carved not only in history but in all military manuals worldwide, because it has never been a case that where you have fought against an adversary which is 7-1, 5-1, 3-1 in different domains like land, air, and sea. And despite all of the differences, you're able to not only carve a victory, cement it, but also provide in, uh, credible uh, proofs that whatever you achieved was definitely something which could not be contested. That's one. Second thing is this, that it's not also just about having victory over an adversary. what's also critical has been the fact that they had much more advanced weapons than us. They had Rafaels, they had S-400, they had Brahmos, you name it. Their platforms were much more advanced, much more in number, much more sophisticated. But what they did not have was the integration of operations which Pakistan carried out. One. Number two, it was the sophistication of your military strategy. Number three, it was the persistent training which our armed forces underwent, and most importantly, our Air Force, which carried out these tremendous training drills to ensure that we were in a position to offset that technological advantage. And then we have also made history by, for the first time, engaging the military aircraft around 198 kilometers, which is perhaps a landmark for its own right. And what's also interesting is that it's not just land, air, and sea. We're also dominating the spectrum of hybrid warfare with regards to electronic warfare, with regards to satellite warfare, and most importantly, to carry out integrated operations. You see, at this very moment, most of the adversaries, most of the armies in the world are working on jointness of operations. The jointness basically means that you do land, air, and sea together. There is a connection, but at the end of the day, you're not actually complementing each other. What Pakistan did was integration. Like once we did the kill chain for the Indian aircrafts, it was the satellites which gave connections to the ground stations. The ground stations gave connections back to the fighter jets, and the fighter jets basically incorporated into the loop, the advanced warning systems or the ABBAS. So in short, you produce all this, and then all of this was done in an environment which was being used and supplemented by electronic warfare suppression. So this is, what has actually shocked the world, that you are able to use all of that in an integrated fashion. One. Number two, different capabilities for different stations, and yet you work in union. And not only did you work in union, nowhere in the world you carry out an offensive and actually are not even able to drop one bomb. The statistics are 8-0. So this basically means 7 military aircrafts plus 1 drone. So what does that say? It just says that it was a victory which could neither be contested, neither shared, and that's in this history which has shaped the outcome not only for Pakistan but also for this region.
Dr. Maria, very excellently and very accurately explained by you about how the figures and facts are straight for the world to see, for the world on an international level to see, or by international recognition. We have achieved what Pakistan has done has stepped up diplomatically as well as militarily as well, and it is the fact that India has been shunned across the diplomatic stage with its false reporting, with its lack of credibility, and as you did state, it was Pakistan's military and civil unison that was able to achieve this feat for Pakistan. But from here on, I'm going to engage Mr. Baluch once again, and because Mr. Baluch, you're a former ambassador, one integral point that does stand out to me as always is that despite intense escalation, Pakistan and India, they were both nuclear states. But Pakistan made sure to consistently position itself as a force of regional stability and diplomacy. It did not use unforeseen aggression. It did not use violence. It used strategic tactics and a very precise response to India, a precise targeted response to India. In regards to that, how has it cemented Pakistan's position on a global stage as a responsible, mature actor in the region?
Excellent question. And in fact, that's what we have been actually articulating, that it's during the war, during the crisis, that the conduct of a state really comes out in a more prominent profile. India actually has been discovered to be a irresponsible state, a state which was earlier given the role of a net security provider. Where is the net security provider? And also that if it cannot be trusted for holding back its fire when on a very small lamb excuse they go and attack a nuclear neighbor. I mean, it was perceived at the international level as one of the most irresponsible acts. And now contrasted with Pakistan's response, as I earlier also said, that despite this provocation, we could, I think we have the statement of our air chief who said that we told the Indians that your such and such targets are focused. In fact, an Indian journal I heard of, that when he said that yes, we were informed by Pakistan that your such strategic assets are on our, like they're locked. So either you retreat or we will fire. And that is the way you fight a brave battle, a strategic battle, and a battle which is fought by a responsible state. Despite having our nuclear, we did not go jingo on a megaphone the way the Indians did. And the worst was the conduct of their media and their leaders. My God, they had a port in Lahore, and Karachi was gone, and all of it. See, so the entire edifice of their false narrative just came crumbling down. Also, the myth of India being the dominant power has completely been shattered. Pakistan is equally a stakeholder, a credible force in the region. That is the reason that today you see Pakistan as the most active actor at the international stage, at the international table, where the questions of war and peace for this region are being talked about. Where is India? Nowhere to be heard. They are hiding. They after, actually, it's very interesting. We should probably say it for our audience and our viewers. Since his last fit, like that very untimely visit to Israel, just 2 days before the Israeli aggression against Iran. After that, he is not to be seen anywhere else. The only place that he went to. So I think India has not only been defeated at the military level, it has been defeated at the diplomatic level. India is in retreat, and Pakistan, alhamdulillah, has achieved that status of a middle power globally, and a credible and a responsible state. And that is what we have proven through our conduct, not words, not jingoism at all. So I think Marka-e-Haq has been a defining moment for our military as well as our diplomatic profile at the global level.
It definitely is. And on that note, Mr. Baloch, as you did mention diplomacy, I'm going to circle back to all the points that you did mention, as I do have something else to highlight. But from here on, I'm going to engage Dr. Maria once again. And in regards to how you mentioned that Pakistan was able to down Rafale jets, advanced systems like the S-400 missile system, as well as secure cyber domains as well within India, how important is it to also recognize at the same time about how Pakistan stepped up diplomacy, as Mr. Baloch did add? There was reports of how Pakistan engaged with more than 120 foreign ministers and global leaders simultaneously, while making sure to maintain the sovereignty at its borders, making sure to establish an international connection, to make sure to portray Pakistan's narrative all across the globe. How important was this combination of both military and diplomacy in reshaping Pakistan's image?
Today, the wars have changed. Wars are high tempo, high intensity wars. Most importantly, these are wars which are also fought on the battlefield, but also on the information domain. So if you're not communicating what's happening, then there's another version of the truth. So when we say that it was a multi-domain success, it also means that on the information domain, we proved all reality, the facts by ourselves. We did not require someone else to provide interpretation. And in this, the two very significant departments which played this role were, of course, one was the Information Department of Pakistan, that's the ISPR, and the information media and all of the people associated with it, between formal and informal. And second was Pakistan's Foreign Office, because it is the combination of the information and the diplomatic domain that Pakistan was able to craft and also carve the way towards the reality with which it was unfolding in the war. And what's interesting is this, that despite the fact that we provided instant battle damage assessment, not only with verifiable proofs and credible, checkbacks, the only country which went on a rampage in terms of trying to recorrect that version was India. They sent their diplomatic delegations after the war, trying to think that, this will work. What they did not realize is this, that the work done by Pakistan's information and Pakistan's diplomatic corps had actually been far much bigger, and that it would have been too late for them to actually redraw the truth, as they had been doing in a lot of other conflicts, which they had with Pakistan. So in this case, we did not rely on foreign media. We did not rely on someone else to tell us. We carved the truth, and we reinforced the facts and figures which were actually unfolding in the world for the people to see.
It definitely was, Dr. Murray, and very accurately explained about how Pakistan has been setting the right foot forward in the globe. And on that note, I'm going to engage Mr. Baloch once again in regards to how he was speaking about Pakistan's credibility and how India is being dismissed on an international level. From here on, I think what we really need to point out to all our viewers watching is that India actually orchestrated the Pahalgam attack to isolate Pakistan diplomatically, to put Pakistan pressure internationally, and over time the narrative actually fell back on their faces as Pakistan's narrative was able to gain more traction, more attention, and that is what the world follows, Pakistan narrative now. So how important is it to note that India fell on its face flat, and now it has been shunned diplomatically, and it is still experiencing the shock waves as Pakistan a year later is observing and celebrating Marka-e-Haq while India is still silent?
Yeah, indeed. See, the flag operation has been the sort of hallmark of Indian state's conduct. In fact, some of the analysts, they say there are two now rogue states in the world, Israel and India. Look what have they done to Sikhs in Canada, in Australia, in US. So these are all kind of state acting as a non-state actor, carrying out extrajudicial killings. So I think, and also that if they had even a shred of evidence to link Pakistan with Pahalgam, they could have come up. Our prime minister, no less than the prime minister, said, "Okay, bring in independent investigators and they let them check it out." Till today, we haven't heard anything from India. So I think India's narrative, the Bollywood culture, they have internalized it. They think this world is a kind of a cinema horror theater. It is not a megaphone diplomacy which works. It is not a theater. It is a real world where they have to be genuine leaders with genuine thinking. They have to be genuine, actually, army. I really, it's not that I'm, as a Pakistani, I'm saying, but I analyze these military strengths of the various countries. And what I'm saying now is not me. It is an Indian ex-Air Force officer who is now teaching in Chicago University. He said that in the 4 years of the course that the Air Force gives to the Indian pilots, they know nothing. They know nothing. So I think in terms of our strategy, our actually tactics, our operation, our technological know-how, we have far exceeded India, alhamdulillah. Even in diplomacy, I've been in the diplomacy for the last 35, 40 years. I served there in Pakistan, mission to the UN and several. Believe me, wherever we were, Pakistan was heard because we would speak professionally. We would talk like we had the information, we had the calculus, we had what we had to say. And at the UN, most of the initiatives when it comes to issues of war and peace, and especially when it comes to the Muslim Ummah, when it comes to the issues of South, it is always Pakistan which was seen as in the lead, as we saw when Israeli attacked Gaza and carried out the genocide. It was a permanent mission to the UN, which was in the forefront in creating, like bringing in solutions and even spearheading several initiatives. So I think Pakistan as a nation has that institutional strength to be counted, and it is being counted now. We don't have to really prove it. The world, everything is right in the open when you are sitting where a global power is asking you, a regional power is asking you to be a mediator and settle their most intricate issue of a adversarial relationship of about 50 years. I'm referring to Iran and the US reconciliation. So these are the kind of indicators which show how much weight a country has it in the diplomatic field or in the international arena. Yeah.
I think that was very accurately pointed out, Mr. Baloch, about how Pakistan has now a seat at the table where it is bringing Iran and the United States to talk in regards of peace, in regards of regional stability. And it is the US President Donald Trump that trusts Pakistan to take this stance, and no other country. While other countries didn't want to see that at this table, the US President only trusted Pakistan with this task because of the integrity, the unity, and the resilience that Pakistan has showcased as a mature actor within the region. And from here on, Dr. Maria, I'm going to engage you with the aftermath of Marka-e-Haq for India. And that is in regards of how, as I did mention earlier, that Pakistan is celebrating, while India, just to save its face, is now using Afghanistan as a terror proxy state against Pakistan, making sure to fuel terrorism within Afghan side, to dismantle Pakistan once again. And there have been reports of serving army officers who are leading missions in Afghanistan so they can infiltrate into Pakistan. And it's not just that, it is the Information Minister, Thalassemia, who has highlighted that India is conducting operations all across the globe in regards of terror. That includes transactional assassinations within the United States, within Canada, and the UK. And it is the Pakistani Armed Forces and the international agencies who are making sure to keep track of all these incidents that India is trying to cause all across the globe, especially within Pakistan as well. How important is it to note that India is working behind the shadows, trying to save its face once again after receiving a befitting response?
It's not just a question of trying to save their face. What they're trying to do is to radicalize their society. What we have seen is that there is a rise of Hindutva in India after this, because when you cannot justify an equitable victory on ground with facts and figures, then you need faith, and you need faith which is going to radicalize, that's going to blur the truth. And they want to misappropriate the facts to their people, and that's what we have seen. We have seen BJP going on a rampage, lying to their domestic, public, so that they can actually benefit and get some advantages in the polls, and they have managed that. So we have to give the devil's due share as far that is concerned. Now that has come at a global cost, and of course the global cost is this: that India is not seen as fair, equitable, or even for that matter reliable military partner. They have lost a lot in the strategic world in terms of their space in this region. Now, in this current India-Pakistan, standoff, whenever we look at it, this standoff actually did not translate into a global victory for them. Right now, Pakistan is the one negotiating between Iran and United States. We are the one which are emerging as a major net security stabilizer for this region. And this is something which is, of course, 100% diametrically opposed to what they are presenting as a net regional, stabilizer or a net security provider. So that's something which has been taken away from them, and you have actually, just taken over that aspect. Second thing is this: that with regards to whether or not they can build this truth, unfortunately, no. But what is significant is the fact that they are using now non-state actors and terrorists from Afghanistan to do this. And the reason why they're doing it is because they think that what they managed to do in Balochistan is going to be something similar to what they did in the case of Bangladesh. Because in the case of Bangladesh, also in Mukti Bani's case, they had serving officers and almost 16 to 17 different positions which they had established in camps. They had established in just across from Bengal in West Bengal, and these camps were actually the ones who were training Mukti Bani people, and they were being done by the Indian Armed Forces serving people, and then they were later on, sent back. And then we also saw what happened to Bangladesh. We saw that it was almost tripled by the influence of the Indian intelligence post that situation. We saw that once, people realized it, we have Hasina Wajid now back in India, back in Delhi. While there is a new government in Bangladesh, history is being rewritten. So the fact is this, that when you create spaces through terrorism, when you create spaces through insurgency, and when you create spaces through espionage, and then you try to create action through tyranny, a time comes when everything is readdressed. It happened in the case of Bangladesh. It will happen in the case of
It has
Balochistan.
been. And Dr. Maria, I think you very accurately
It will happen in the
pinpointed
case of
about how
UPK.
India has been installing the BJPized Hindutva mindset within its locals, within the people, making sure to raise aggression within Indian minorities and Indian locals themselves. And India in itself is divided, which is why, as my co-host does love to quote, how India loves to showcase its external issues as internal and internal issues as external, always pointing out towards pointing fingers towards the wrong accusers and making sure to raise false accusations, orchestrating false events to blame others for its own actions. And that is how India is being exposed by Pakistan and on an international stage globally with its actions. But you know, from here on, we're going to be wrapping up this segment. Thank you so much, Dr. Maria Sultan, for joining us, and thank you so much, Mr. GHULAM RASOOL BALUCH, for joining us as well, giving us your deep insights in regards to how Marka-e-Haq needs to be celebrated, recognized, so that Pakistan can make sure to rejoice and celebrate this victory that it did mean to achieve. And with that, we're going to be heading out towards a very, very short break. Make sure to stay tuned if you want to get updated with some health information. We will be right back on World This Morning. All right, welcome back. World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here today we are going to be discussing and observing an International World Day, especially in regards of thalassemia. On May 8th, the world observes World Thalassemia Day to bring you awareness about what this disease does. It is a genetic blood disorder that causes disruption in red blood cells flow and generally disrupting your hemoglobin. And for you to get a major insight into how to maybe avoid this, prevent this, and how to cure this, we do have an expert in studios with us today who happens to be Dr. MASOOMA JAFFER, a medical consultant from Maroof Hospital, who has been working with patients to make sure that they get the right treatments for them to live a healthy, happy life. Thank you so much for joining us. And with her, we do have AREEJ WASEEM, who is a patient experiencing thalassemia since birth. And we are going to be talking to her about her journey, about how her life has been affected by this disease, and how she is going to make sure that you get a perspective upon how important is it to recognize the importance of this disease. But moving on back to Dr. MASOOMA JAFFER, thank you so much for joining us today.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much, Isha, for having me here. I'm Dr. MASOOMA from Maroof International Hospital, and I'm really glad that you were.
And you know, we're so glad that you're here today on this special observation of the World Thalassemia Day. But my first question is going to be in regards of what exactly is thalassemia, and how is it a genetic disorder that is being passed on?
Right, thalassemia is actually a group of genetic disorders of hemoglobin synthesis, in which one or more globin chains are either absent or they are produced at a reduced rate. In Pakistan, there is very high prevalence of around 5 to 6%, but it remained underreported due to limited diagnostic facilities.
Okay, and you know, we do know that it is a disease that is very prevalent in Pakistan, which is why we want to know how can thalassemia be prevented, and how can probably paternal screenings help to prevent this disease in the future.
Right. First of all, Isha, I would like to tell that there are two forms of this disease. One is the carrier state, and the other is the beta thalassemia major. In carrier state, the patient is completely asymptomatic. They are living a normal life. Even they also don't know that we are the carriers of this disease. According to a stat that 5 to 6% in Pakistan, they are carriers. It means that around 5,000 to 6,000 children of thalassemia major are being born annually, right? And beta thalassemia major patients are those who require blood transfusion as early as 1 year of age, and regular blood transfusion throughout their life. So for the prevention of this, I would like, recently National Assembly of Pakistan has passed Compulsory Thalassemia Screening Act in March 2026, which is a very good initiative in this regard. Because in which both the partners, they are screened if they are carriers of thalassemia or not, and then they are advised further testing, and they are being given support for this. However, at regional level, implementation is still going to be done. Punjab Thalassemia Prevention Program is another initiative that is being carried out by the government.
Okay, I mean, those are great initiatives that the government is making sure to follow through with. But what exactly can, I mean, it is now regulated, as you did mention, for maybe premarital groups to make sure to get tested for thalassemia. How much of a major factor is it playing, and how important is it for children, young minors, to get tested for thalassemia at birth as well?
Yes, it is very important. That's why we introduced the term that premarital screening and postnatal screening. These are the two terms they should be understood. Premarital screening, before marriage, the couples, they should be screened if they are carriers or not. And then there is the postnatal diagnosis, in which the it is screened, the women is screened in early pregnancy, right? And we do it by chorionic villus sampling at 11th to 12th week of gestation, and we see if the disease is present in the fetus or not before it is born, right? And so if the mutation is to be present, if we suspect that the child is going to be thalassemia major patient, with the will of the parents, the pregnancy can be terminated. There is a fatwa regarding this by Mufti Tariq Usmani Sahab, and it's really helpful in this regard that you can terminate the pregnancy before 17th week of gestation.
Yes. So the parents, they do have a right, and they do have I would say an outlook, a way out for making sure that maybe the child that is born is not impacted for their life. They're not facing any health issues and complications and suffering throughout their life. So they do have a way out to prevent any further implementation or any just further disruption to a human life. But from here on, I'm going to take you on to, as you do work with thalassemia patients on a daily basis, you make sure to get them the right treatments and potentially work towards a more healthy, stable lifestyle. What kind of improvements does the Pakistani healthcare system need that could actually help patients on a deeper level?
Yes, so we need support for the government for the prevention and treatment of thalassemia. We need premarital screening and postnatal sampling at district level. Especially I would say that at district headquarter level, and we need monitoring and evaluation cell at Federal Ministry of Health, so that we can collect the actual data regarding thalassemia.
And I'm just curious to know, I think everyone watching is going to be curious to know as well, how exactly is thalassemia treated or maybe stabilized for patients? Because I think it cannot be cured, but how, what kind of treatments are available for patients to live out a somewhat healthy life?
The main stay of treatment is transfusion throughout their life. They have, there is a hypertransfusion regime along with the iron chelation therapy. It's the mainstay of treatment. But you know that every bag, usually they require blood donation at 2 to 5 weeks of interval. So rapidly they are needing it. And every bag of blood, it carries around 200 milligrams of iron in it, which can be deposited in heart and liver. And it is very dangerous. So for that we need iron chelators, right? And then there is infectious diseases like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, HIV. They can be transmitted through blood, right? So we need better screening facilities at DHQ levels as well, right? So in a study, around 50% of children who are thalassemia major, who are getting regular blood transfusion, they are HCV positive.
So I mean, regular transfusions also take a toll on your body, and it's such a vigorous and lengthy process to go through every other week just to stay alive and stay healthy. And this is why I do want to ask AREEJ WASEEM over here, our patient over here, and I want to ask you, AREEJ, what kind of complications or what kind of difficulties you've had living with this disease?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. And it is just not medical problem, but also social and financially challenge for my family. And society and relatives, we are not very supportive, but arranging safe blood, but she's a very difficult and high cost. Yeah.
It is. And on that note, AREEJ, would you want to send out a message to the people watching in order to encourage them to support thalassemia patients, thalassemia charities probably, and how to support just families who have children with thalassemia?
I would like to say there was a high need to encourage voluntary blood donation, but your 30 minutes give a better life into our patients. And secondly, spread awareness in this by journal public about this disease.
It definitely is, and thank you so much for being here on World Thalassemia Day. And just to close things off, I'm going to ask Dr. MASOOMA to also give a message to all the viewers watching in regards to sending out how to observe World Thalassemia Day and recognize this as a major disorder.
Right. Yes, I would like to request public to please come forward. We need healthy volunteer donors. They should give blood to these patients, and we should treat them with kindness and encouragement. Those who are having any kind of financial issues regarding this disease, we should help them. We should come forward. Together we can make a compassionate and healthy environment for them.
And that is what we want in Pakistan,
Yes.
and for the globe as well, to make sure that we observe World Thalassemia Day, we aid the patients, and we make sure to give back to charities and donations as much as we can. And with that, on this note, this is a reminder for you to stay healthy, stay safe, and get tested for any disease, especially thalassemia as well, before you get married, to make sure that you live a healthy life. We are going to be signing out on World This Morning today.